Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Side Escape Gaming Podcast. More importantly, James, 2019 Game of the Year. I am Jake Burke, and joined, as always, is James St. Charles. James St. Charles, how are you doing?
Great. This is the epitome of the year.
This is why we started podcasting.
Yes.
We looked at it 5 weeks ago, and we said, you know what we're going to do? We want to get to Game of the Year. We got to fill 5 weeks, and we did it. We're here. There's no episode 7. This is it.
And we gamed like crazy to get here. We played so many of these Game of the Year titles to make a good list that I feel covers the whole spectrum.
Before we jump into it, I played, so I was like doing my list, right? And I was like, I gotta play Death Stranding. There was like a hole inside me. And I was like, what's missing from Game of the Year? And I had played half of Death Stranding, and I was like, I just have to finish it. Because it's Kojima. I owe it to him. You know, he talked to me. He's like, Jake, please finish my game. Jake's on. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I played like a disgusting amount of it this week.
How many hours?
Oh, God, 20? 15 to 20? It was gross.
Wait, how much do you have in total?
I think I'm at like 40. And so I had like half of it done, and I did like 20, 15 or 20. And boy, do I have thoughts on that game, and it will be talked about. Because if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, what we're doing today is we're talking about our Game of the Year, and we will get to an official Side Escape Game of the Year eventually. But we're going to go through our honorable mentions, and then a top 10 list kind of our personal Game of the Year. Share it kind of back and forth with each other, why we liked it, maybe why I didn't make it number one, and then we'll get to the end. James and I will then kind of debate what is.
Yeah, we'll debate a game.
Yeah, what is the Side Escape Game of the Year? So, if you don't know what we're doing, if you're new to the show, this is the Side Escape Gaming Podcast. My name is Jake. This is James. Every Monday we sit down and we talk about video games and everything we love about them and what is happening in this crazy gaming world that we live in. And now we're in 2020. How's 2020 treating you, James?
So far it's been the same.
Except really different?
Except we're going to war, I think. No. but this is probably we're reaching the pinnacle for gaming this year, I feel. There's so many titles that have been like, okay, it's coming out this year.
Right.
Oh, we're pushing to this year. Like games I've been talking about for years are coming out. It is the year of gaming.
And 2020, I think we'll look at our list too. And for me, making my list was kind of difficult because it's been a weird year. So nothing was like.
I'm gonna say it's been a bad year. The top 10 list for me is a struggle, and that's telling you much.
And I have a few where I want to talk about like this. You know, my number. I think it's my number 8 and my number 7 are disgustingly close, and my number 2 and 3 could flip on. If you could flip them, and I wouldn't even know. You know, that's kind of how I am.
Gotcha.
So I think that's kind of we'll get there eventually. But 2019. Well, overall, you think it's been a poor year for games?
So games came out that were pretty good, but they weren't the games that I was excited for. Let's just say that.
I would agree. I would definitely agree. And now, of course, we're looking at 2020, which is new systems, kind of the new generation of games. And I think we're going to get a lot of heavy hitters. I mean, we've talked about planning this show out in the first 4 months is I'm spending a lot of money to just be able to talk about games on this show.
Exactly. So,
and they're all
putting
stuff
a
I
lot
want
of
to
effort
play.
into this.
Yeah. So I want to kind of just jump into it because I think this is going to be probably our longest episode to date, if I could predict.
Probably.
Let's talk about our honorable mentions. You said you had one.
Yeah, I have one, but I want you to talk about yours first because mine's kind of a joke one.
Okay. So I have 3 kind of to talk about that aren't. They were close to making my top 10 in that number 10 slot. Didn't quite make it. One is The Outer Wilds, not Worlds, Wilds. The reason it's not there, I think it's a very interesting game. That kind of space exploration, kind of feel of openness, and the time reset loop is very fascinating. I just never beat it, so I can't give it a slot on my list because I think that's kind of a little unfair. And of course, I think the ending is supposed to be incredible, and I never got there because it was really obtuse, and obtuse games are hard for my dumb brain.
See, I put a lot of time into it, even though I put at least 16 hours into it.
Yeah, we played at the same time.
I played a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I did put it on my list, even though I didn't beat it, but I put it very at the bottom because I've seen people's lists and they put it at number 1, and that pains me. I really need to dedicate the time to this game, but it's hours.
Right.
You have to this game is you going back repeatedly over and over trying to put pieces together, and from what I hear, it's supposed to be amazing. And we've been going through the game, or we were going through the game and enjoying it, but it's time consuming, and other games come out. You have to really just set aside time, lock it down, solve it,
exactly,
and enjoy it. But I did put it on my list though. I'll tell you, but we'll talk.
We'll talk more about it.
Order wise, yeah. I'll.
All right. My next honorable mention is a game that kind of took everybody by storm earlier this year, and I really enjoyed it. Apex Legends.
Oh.
I'm not a huge battle royale person, which is ironic because my next game is also a battle royale. But Apex Legends, I think, is a really fascinating concept of heroes and battle royale and like that Overwatch style in that battle royale world. Also, the fact that Respawn, who has another game that will be on my top 10 list, spoiler alert, they managed to surprise launch this game out of nowhere.
That was the best thing that could have happened to them.
And Respawn, who's owned by EA, is, I think, one of the most talented developers in the industry. And the way that they managed to make this shooter just feel so much like Titanfall 2, and it was free, is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but no Titans. That would have been so
Titans.
great.
Yeah,
that would have been really fun.
That would have been really cool. But I like that what they did. They took a risk, and it really paid off. And it's a really fun game, and I played a lot of it in the beginning of the year because it was a slower beginning of this year. I mean, I looked at my list, and most of my games came out.
Oh, starting out for the year, it was bad, and then this game gets rumored. It's like, oh, hey, there's a Titanfall 2 BR coming out. Everyone's like, no, what the heck? Why? Yeah. Who heard that? And then it comes out, and then they're just like, oh, it's out. It's like out. 2 weeks, we're coming out, and then it's amazing. It's not like some thrown together. Oh, here's our attempt at a BR. Right. It's a full-fledged game right off the bat.
Battle Royales, obviously, they get kind of a bad rap now because everyone is kind of cashing in on what that big cash cow is and what's the next battle royale. But correct. They did something special with it, and I think it deserves a lot of credit, and I really enjoyed my time with it. So
yeah, the abilities that work with the levels and the way you can interact with the circle and the ability to get back your team. Like, there's a lot of like new things they did in it that worked well, and it was just clean right off the bat.
And it was really fun when that game came out to watch Fortnite respond and like almost like copy the things that people really liked in Apex. Or like you mentioned, people could revive.
Yep.
And people would like Fortnite was literally like, well, now we're going to have places that you can revive your teammates. And it's like, wow, they are just like following Apex and what they're doing, which is awesome. I mean, more power to them.
Exactly.
So, and then my other honorable mention is I think the best battle royale of the year, Tetris 99.
Ooh.
Because what a great concept. 99 players play Tetris against each other until one person's left. And I'm not good at Tetris. I got second place once. It was awesome. But it was just a really great concept and really fun to just kind of have this almost like making fun of the Battle Royale a little bit and then still making it good and work.
It was making fun of it, but then at the same time, you would see God Tetris players playing, and it was amazing just watching how good they are. And it was being great. You seeing them eliminate people. And the way the targeting system works, like it targets like 8 people can be targeting you.
Yep.
To like,
and like attacking and stuff.
And then you can destroy them all because you're like sending them all your blocks.
Yeah, and then another great example of a free game. It's like, hey, if you want to just try this out, here it is. And it's really fun. I mean, I appreciate when a developer...
Tetris is a staple. But Jake, that's technically a remake, so no.
It's not a remake. That is a new spin.
That is a remake. But there's been so many Tetrises.
There has been a lot of Tetrises. But I like the spin on Tetris. So
yes, it could.
What is your honorable mention?
We gotta talk about it.
Oh no!
It's a game that was so hyped that when it came out, it was absolute doo doo.
Oh no! What was doo doo?
Anthem.
Oh wow!
Anthem. God, that was so hyped.
You got so intense there that you leaned in and your camera went out of focus. It got so scared.
Yeah.
It's like, don't talk about Anthem. Wow, I do like that honorable mention. That's cool.
It's an honorable mention. It's a dishonorable mention, actually.
It is, yeah.
But it really just. I mean, we haven't played it, so we can't talk about it. Like, have you played it? You have played it. Okay,
I played the demo, and I played the demo, and I was like, this doesn't feel good.
Okay.
This is weird. And then my buddy was like, no, let's get it. And I didn't get it.
Oh, good.
And he's like, this game sucks. And I was like, yeah, it didn't feel good on a demo. I wasn't going to buy a game of it.
So, I heard there was a bunch of updates. We gotta. I think we should revisit that and like maybe like eventually talk about it and come back to it and see if it's worth getting. If they're gonna do some sort of like No Man's Sky-esque relaunch
of Anthem.
Right. You pour in so much money into this game and it comes out and it flops and everyone's forgotten about it.
Well, and it's from BioWare. BioWare, who had another flop right before, which is Mass Effect Andromeda. Yeah.
Literally, Mass Effect. Yeah, it went. Yeah, right. I forgot about Andromeda. Yeah, that was another one.
It's the only Mass Effect game I haven't played, and every so often I see it on sale for like $5, and I'm like, is it time? Nah.
Yeah. But anyways, I just thought we gotta talk about that because that.
No, I do like I like the idea of Anthem as the honorable mention. Obviously, it's a interesting game story to have that big of a IP just become a huge stinker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it happens.
It does.
Games can come out of nowhere.
All right,
like we probably should do like a dishonorable mention of the like game like out of nowhere.
Yep. Next year we will have the dishonorable mention of the year. What do you? Okay, I want you to predict. Do you think what game do you think will be the dishonorable mention of 2020?
Oh wow, that's hard.
I know.
To try to think
of all the big games. I don't know if there is one yet.
I don't know if I can say because I feel like all the big games are gonna do well.
Here's the only one I could think of is Ghost of Tsushima.
That one could be. It's just we haven't seen too much.
I think it'll be really good. But Ghost of Tsushima, what is it? Is it like Assassin's Creed? Is it like Sekiro? Is it? And I think that's where it gets interesting.
I have to look at the list, but I don't know if it's going to be a big AAA one. Like it's not one that I know right now.
Yeah.
I think all of them are going to succeed.
Yeah,
Even though we haven't seen too much Cyberpunk. Actually, I've seen a little. I know Cyberpunk's going to be good. So
Cyberpunk's going to be great.
So
oh my God.
That would be really bad if that would flop. But
that's going to be like 5 weeks of our podcast is just talking about Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Why it's amazing. Yeah. And then it's gonna be a lot of me just gushing about The Last of Us Part 2. But we're not talking about 2020 anymore, James.
Yeah, we gotta stick to the past. Gotta get back to the past.
I want you to start.
What's
your number 10 game?
My 10? Okay,
number 10?
I'm starting on something really controversial.
Okay.
But I put it on the list, even though I put it at the bottom, because of what it did.
Okay.
And I'm a really big fan of this type of game. It is Dota Auto Chess. Now wait, Jake. You're gonna say it's a mod. That's not a game.
You're right. That's what I was
There
thinking,
are
James.
2 games that 3 games, 2 in beta and 1 that actually released in 2019 that spawned off of this mod. Dota Underlords,
okay,
League of Legends Teamfight Tactics, and Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is my personal favorite, but it's still in beta. 3 games that spawned out of it from big companies.
Right.
That deserves to be put on the list because of it literally started a new genre. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's just like a board where you can like move characters. That's the original auto chess. You can move characters and they all fight each other AI wise. Like you're not doing the fighting, you're just placing them around, and then you can upgrade units and they can do more damage. Really cool idea.
Yeah.
And you fight other people who do have similar builds.
Would you be surprised to know, James, that this is also on my list?
Oh.
No, it's not. I'm just kidding.
I was like, I
have no idea what this game is.
Yeah.
You've explained
it is like it's a time waster, but yeah, it's just strategy. The Battlegrounds one is more like you're playing with Hearthstone cards and then they're fighting each other.
Okay.
It's a little easier and I think more fun and the way you can do the interactions because the cards interact with each other and they have abilities and I think that's easier. Mm-hmm. Whereas in like Teamfight Tactics that uses League of Legends heroes and they have different abilities and they have different like I guess what's the word for it? Synchronicity.
Okay. Yeah, where they pair.
Like they compare like
yeah,
certain units buff each other.
No, I think that's a great pick. I mean, obviously, like, it's starting a.
So I'm putting it at the bottom because technically it's a mod, and there was no intention of this like being a 2019 hit, but it did come out in 2019.
No, that's fine. I think that's
the game's just fun. So that's my number 10. What's yours?
Okay, my number 10 is a game that you would not have played. Blood and Truth for PlayStation VR.
Oh yeah, no.
Would you be surprised that James also has played Blood and Truth? No.
Yeah.
Blood and Truth is a really good VR game. The reason I think Blood and Truth is very low on the list is because we've kind of talked about this offline, but VR is kind of a hassle to set up.
It's a pain.
It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It really is. And so I actually had to set this up in my garage where I'm recording this, where my computer is. I usually play upstairs in my bedroom, but I had to bring it down to the garage because I have to like have enough room to move around and sit, and I only have a bed in my room. So I've played most of the game. It's really fun. It's a VR game that basically like you are the action star of a big action movie, like a Fast and the Furious, and you're like this British like special forces operative that's got a crime family, and you're in a crime war. But it's all, like a light gun game, but you're shooting and you're grabbing. It's really fun, and it's the reason I like this game particularly for VR is that I know a game with VR is good when it like I make an instinct motion. Mm-hmm. And it happens. So like you're forced to like scale a building basically, and you're like I'm like, oh okay, cool. I'm just like parkouring up these monkey bar kind of things on like a scaffolding. Monkey bars, Jesus. We're on a jungle gym. No, you're like climbing up scaffolding, and I didn't grab the trigger right away, so I started to fall, and instinctively I just went like with my hands like to grab. Like it wasn't like I was pulling the triggers, like my whole hand clenched, like I gotta grab this because like there's a height, and my guy like did the motion of grabbing, and it was
that's
like
sick.
it's just like such a cool moment of like VR, where like in a game, you know, like I'm hitting the R trigger and stuff. Like this was such an instinctual like, oh shit, or like someone will throw a grenade at you and you like go to pick it up, and it's like a normal like I'm picking it up and I'm throwing it, and it like does it, and it's for me like when a VR game gives me that sense, it's really special and it's really fun, and it very much feels like a AAA VR game. You know, so
okay. Now go back to the question we were talking about, like what could be a flop for 2020. Half-Life Alyx could be a flop.
Oh,
Just because of the state of VR, and if they're tuning it for the index, the top tier, and everyone's running around with a PSVR or what I'm running around with, like the HP one that's like a $200 one, it could be a really bad experience because you don't have the top of the line controllers with the motion sensor and the hand tracking, and so that's why when you're talking about that, the controllers that I have are like these little wheel things, and you can't do those instinctive motions. Whereas the VR you have like what the little
the PlayStation VR has like the Move controllers, and they look like Wiimotes with like big balls on the end of them.
Well, at least you can grab.
Yeah, you can grab like the triggers.
These ones you're like this.
Yeah, and the problem with the VR, I mean, this is a whole other topic, but is like the way that the tracking works with like the lights, and they're not tracking you, it's tracking the headset lights and the lights and the triggers. And so like I was sitting on my bed and I was like, I'm just gonna play it in my room, it's gonna be great. And like I'm sitting there, and then like my guy gets like out of whack, like my character.
Yeah, no, yeah, that happens with. Like, I have the same type of headset, like the similar like, idea.
Yeah, and it's like look, like
you need the room tracking ones, which again you're shelling out up to $1,000.
Yeah.
For literally it's a prototype. Like we are in such an infancy for VR, which is okay. Like it's getting going.
Yeah.
But it's outpriced. Like this is like really early like consoles that were competing with like Sega and all that, and you'd see these like $1,000 console like a 3DO or something come out way back when, and it was just like way outpriced, and even though it was like doing cool things, it's just not worth it. But anyways, but that's a good.
Blood and Truth is number 10 on my list. It's a fun VR game. As we dive into a rabbit hole.
I did play a little Beat Saber this year, but again with my VR headset.
Yeah.
Last year, but
yeah.
That's another case where the tracking was awful.
It's the one game I really do want to play, and I just haven't played it yet. VR is a very big like, do I want to buy a game? It's kind of a risk if I'm going to enjoy it, so I have to like temper my purchases with it. And also the realistic, how many times am I going to set this up because it takes forever?
Yeah.
So, but I had a great experience. Like when I played it down in this garage, I was actually in this chair and able to like kind of swivel around, which made it really fun. Great. And like, you know, your guns are on your hip and your back, and like you get to customize your guns. And like, I love too the VR thing of like aiming, and you have the gun in your hand and you like have to put it up to your eye and you see through the scope. And I'm like, VR is so fucking cool. Just how I feel. This is fucking cool.
Yeah. But the cool things that are being done is probably going to make it, but the price point for me is not there yet to get a really nice headset.
PSVR is expensive but cheaper than all the rest. All right, number 9. Let's hear it.
Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
Number 9. I played a little bit.
It's also on my list.
It is a great game. Really, like my type of indie game too.
Yeah.
Where it's just really colorful, creative, and at first when I like saw it, I was like, okay, it's cute. You're a duck, but there's actual missions, like goal objectives.
James, you're actually a goose.
Goose.
I want to state that on the record.
Goose, not duck.
Please respect it. It's not Untitled Duck Game.
They hang out to each other.
They do.
Okay. You're a goose. Sorry. You're a goose. So you're like terrorizing everyone. But basically, like you have like little tasks, like steal this guy's hat or steal this guy, and it's kind of hard too. Like you have to like try and like coordinate and like think about how you're gonna solve, like grab this task or check this off. Like it's really unique and funny.
Yep.
Like it's a really humorous game, but it works well.
I think, I mean, so Untitled Goose Game is on my list a little lower down, not by much, but it's on there. And I think the reason that it's on my list as well is it's just so fun.
Yeah,
like,
it's fun.
Death Stranding is going to be on my list, and Death Stranding is complex.
Yes.
And it's art.
Incredibly
and
complex.
Is it fun? I don't know. Like, we'll talk, it's going to be a whole thing, trust me. But Goose Game is just like, it's fun.
It's fun. And it has an idea, and it works.
And it's clever, and it's like a puzzle stealth game where you are a goose. And there's nothing funnier than walking up to a man and going, honk.
Yeah.
With a button.
Honking.
Yeah.
Hiding around and then running around. And the music's really good in that game. Like, very mood setting, atmosphere. It works out pretty well. So
yeah, and
I'm really happy that game
illustrated. Did well. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a must-play game, I think, of 2019. It's just a feel-good game, and yeah,
it's an everybody's game kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. It very much is an everybody's game.
Approach, even though it's a really fast game, like to beat, but it has replayability. That's good.
And there are some hard parts of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a lot of great Metal Gear Solid references in that game because it's a stealth game.
Yeah, the box and
where you like get to go in the box and like a few other things, and it's like really funny. Like you can distract somebody like with a poster and stuff, which is really funny. Yeah, it's a great game.
Yep. Really.
You ready for my number 9?
Yeah.
Borderlands 3.
Ooh.
Borderlands 3 is obviously the third Borderlands game. Technically the fourth because there was the pre-sequel. Borderlands 3 is exactly what you think it's going to be. And that is both good and bad. It's good because Borderlands, obviously, it's a fun loot shooter where you play co-op and it's gross and dirty and they talk about boner farts and all this jazz, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, and that's fun and it's familiar and it's great. And I think in a year with 2020 of being slower, that helped.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's
2019.
not. I said 2020. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
You correct me, I'll correct you. We got this.
Yeah, please. Well, you talked about duck and geese. Like, come on, learn your birds, bro.
Learn my birdies.
Yeah, God.
They're both annoying. They both quack, right?
They're both,
oh, no, one honks.
One honks, all right? Gee, God, James. It's like you didn't even play the game, all right? But Borderlands 3 is just, I think it's very safe, and I think that holds it back a lot. It doesn't really do a ton different. Obviously, you can travel to different planets, but it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. But it's fun if you want to shoot stuff with your friends and pick up new guns that do weird things. That's it. And I had a blast with it, playing probably 30 hours of it throughout the year, and it's good. It also has a great kind of ending, which was very surprising for a Borderlands game. So
I picked it up, but I haven't played it. But,
I think you'll enjoy it.
Gunnar and I played 1, 2, and we're getting through the pre-sequel right now because we want to get it. Pre-sequel sucks, by the way. It's just awful. Like, you're on the moon, I guess, or like some type of moon, so you have like gravity, and then like it's just awful. But 2 is amazing.
Yes, 2 is fantastic.
I would play 2 all the time.
Yep.
So, man, but 9. So that tells you a lot. That you're
it's number 9. There's a lot to come in this.
This
list.
is Borderlands 3 too, and another game that was pretty hyped.
Yep.
But
and it took forever to come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna mention number 8 on my list is Untitled Goose Game, which we just talked a lot about, so I don't need to.
Yeah, actually 8 on my list is Outer Wilds. So we talked about that.
We already talked about Outer Wilds.
Yeah.
So why is it on your list if you didn't?
So I'll actually put it on 8 just because I had such a good time playing it. Even though I didn't beat it, the amount of time I invested into it, I think deserved to be put on the list. And I could see where I was going, where this could be a great game. Like,
Are
things
you gonna go back to it?
Yeah, I have to go back to it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I have to restart. Luckily, I know where to go when I restart because if you restart every single time, that's how the game works. Like, you have a certain amount of time before the star explodes or sun explodes.
Yep.
And then everything's wiped out. But it's such a great idea for a game, like. And then, okay, actually, I do want to talk more about this.
Okay.
They came out with a documentary recently about the making of Outer Wilds,
and
I only watched like 2 minutes because everyone was like saying there's heavy spoilers. But he said the idea he got from the game was from Zelda Wind Waker, and he said there's a point in the game where it's like a side quest thing. You don't have to do anything. You just go to this guy, and he has pictures in his shop, like paintings in his shop, of real places in Wind Waker that you can go visit, and he tells you about them. And so he wanted to make a game just based off that idea, a minor part of a game.
Love
I
it.
thought that was amazing. This is I think it's like an MIT grad, like someone who's like really, really smart making this game.
Of course. Well, yes.
But the mechanic of the game is so complex too. Like you're flying around a ship, and there's physics and like it's beautiful. But
Well, I think too, like with me for the Outer Wilds, I was gonna say
Outer Wilds.
Outer Wilds. Yeah. It's so complicated. But for the Outer Wilds was like it's so inventive and like it was fun to play that game alongside you. Where I'd be like, James, I'm at we'll call it
this planet,
Alpha
Titan,
Omega, whatever this planet, And I was like, I don't get what to do with the tornadoes. And
yes,
like, I keep getting pushed up, and you're like, Jake, not all the tornadoes go up. And I was like, oh, that's genius. Like, I gotta find the one that's gonna shoot me down. Like, it's so inventive in that regard, and like that made that really fun. And it's relaxing.
Piecing things together. Like you're basically exploring like an ancient race. It is.
Yeah, because I guess the premise for I think it's it's a smaller game that not a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
The premise is that you are an explorer for this like small alien race.
Yeah.
Sent out into your galaxy to like learn about the precursors before you and what happened to them. And then things get weird and happen and
yeah, things that where you get stuck in like a time loop kind of thing. You keep coming back, and then like you have the knowledge though from every single experience, which is kind of like sad, but you're like living in this like loop to try and like get out of it. Yeah. And it's
like
constantly. It's like a really bad Groundhog Day.
It's like a really bad Groundhog Day. You explode every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was your number 8?
I wish I could have beaten it, but
again,
it takes a lot of time. So one day I'm gonna go back to it when I have some free time. But this year, oh my god, it's maybe February.
Yeah. I think January and February we'll have some time.
Yeah.
So I want to go to number 7 because you just mentioned something about wanting to go back, and that's how I felt about Outer Wilds, and like I should have beaten it before this, but Death Stranding is number 7 on my list.
Ooh.
Now, Death Stranding is very close to number 6 on my list, where they could flip anytime.
Okay.
And I probably wouldn't know, but we'll talk about it at number 7. Death Stranding obviously is Hideo Kojima's first game away from Konami, starring Norman Reedus, where I'm going to explain it in the way I explained it to Maddie today on the phone, like she should understand. Where Norman Reedus has a BB attached to him, and he uses it to detect BTs to prevent the EE, right? You understand?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So the concept of Death Stranding to me is fascinating. It's weird. It's obtuse. It's odd, and I love it. I love
it's
weird
Kojima.
Shit. It is. It's Kojima Unchained, right? Like that's what it feels like. And I love weird things. I love that like just odd, compelling, interesting, crazy story. That being said, I do not think the game is fun. It is not a fun game to play.
Yeah.
It is slow, and I feel
like
the game...
Quest the game.
Yes, it is Fetch Quest the game, and I was going to talk to you about this. There's literally a point in the game where like your BB gets sick, okay? And the little baby on your chest is your BB. And Guillermo del Toro takes the baby, and he's like, I'm going to nurse it back, like we're going to get it good. But in order for it to get good, you got to go to like these different like mailboxes, essentially these distro centers, and get them online in our network, because you're like traveling across America to connect to the network, right? And he's like, you got to go to these 3 network things. And I'm like, okay. So I go to all 3 of them, do it. And then he like pops up on the screen, and he's like, hey, good job, Sam. Like, way to do this. And he's like, now, unfortunately, BB's still sick. So he goes, you got to go to 1 more center. And I was like, motherfucker, just tell me, like, you just got to go do it again.
Yeah.
Like, this game does not respect your time a little bit, which is weird. But that being said, I think like there's 15 chapters in the game. The last 7 are really good and interesting and complex, and the story's like interwoven, and there's not a lot of deliveries in the last 7. It's really story focused. And in that regard, it's really good. And the story's, in my opinion, actually like really strong, and I fully understand the weirdness of it. Like where I thought like, oh, this is going to be nonsensical. Hideo Kojima does this makes this nonsense make sense, which is really impressive. And I actually like want to talk to you because Goose Game is a very fun game, right? Like that game is just fun to play. Where I think like Death Stranding for me was never fun to play. But that being said, it's still a good game because it's like the art of it, right?
Yeah.
Like not all movies are fun to watch. but they're still good. Like Schindler's List is not a fun movie. Like I want to watch Schindler's List today.
Yeah, and not all games are fun to play too. Like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I find that awful to play, but some people
like that,
enjoy the.
The
some people enjoy like doing fetch quests. So.
And yeah, so I think like for me, like Death Stranding is there because it's impactful. I still have not stopped thinking about it today, and like it started at number 10 on my list when I beat it yesterday or like this morning. I started at 10, and it's through like the course of the day. I was like, no, I like it better than Blood and Truth. No, I like it better than this, and like it's just slowly worked its way up. So I left it at number 7, but it's a very fascinating game that I think like should be recognized. That being said, it's not the best game of the year by far, but yeah, that's my Death Stranding talk. I've needed it because I've been.
You've been thinking about it and getting through it. I remember we were talking about like one point where we're like, man, I'm not gonna finish this game. And
I was
like,
done.
You gotta go. Yeah.
So, like I said, there was a big hole in me that I had to fill. So, what's your number 7?
Well, 7 is interesting because I put it up high, even though I got through most of it. But now I'm like debating whether or not I even should have put it on the list after you hear your 7 because it's like it doesn't match up. It's such a lower game, but it's Wargroove.
Oh,
Wargroove came out and it was really fun at the start.
Yeah,
and you and I, yeah, it got really bad. So I put it up here because I had a really fun. Again, I'm talking about. I had a really fun time playing it at the
I gotta
start.
look at something. You keep talking.
But Into the Breach was another game we both liked to play, and I felt that was like 10 times better. That game, Into the Breach, ruined this game for me. If this game came out first, I'd be like, oh, this game's going to be great.
Yeah.
But at some point, the game, again, it doesn't turn fun. It just becomes you're replaying the same thing over and over again. And
so have you played it since the updates?
No, it hasn't gotten better.
Yeah. So apparently, can you explain a little bit what Wargroove is?
Wargroove is like a chess type strategy. XCOM type game where it's turn based and you have units that you're positioning, and some are melee units or range units, and some are weak, some are health, some have abilities. And then way Wargroove works is sometimes it's not just like wiping out the enemy, sometimes it's like protecting, making sure everyone evacuates a village or something, so it's not. And then they have like, oh, this person's spawning or this person's over here, or you hear rustling, or like they can hide. So yeah, it's that's that type of game.
And it's based off Advance Wars, which is an old Nintendo.
Yes, that's why people were hyped about this game because
Nintendo just won't make an Advance Wars for some reason, even though everybody wants it. So I wanted to share this. So I ranked all the games I played throughout the year, just what I do, and I played 28 games this year, 28 new games. Wargroove is number 25 because before the update, and this is why I think you were going to say, you'd play it. And Wargroove is a really well made game.
Yeah,
it's Chucklefish. But you get to a point where like you're doing these like 45-minute missions, and they're hard. And if you lose at like minute 44, you have to restart. And so it's like,
exactly.
I've done this 3 times. I can't beat this one unit at the very end, and I got to keep restarting to the beginning. So they've fixed it, and there's a bunch of autosaves now, I guess, throughout the levels.
Okay, that would make it way worse.
Yeah,
so like turn saves kind of thing.
Yeah, so like
similar
saves
to
on
like
different
Civ
churns.
or something.
Yeah. So apparently that's the update that like really made the game.
Maybe I have to return to it.
Yeah, I've thought about it as well.
Yeah.
But no, Wargroove's a good pick. It's funny that it was ranked that low because of just the save issue. I was like,
just the save issue.
Because yeah.
I got to that same point too.
Yeah. It's really, I think it's like for everybody. All right, I'm going to my number 6.
Okay.
And I'm curious if this ranks for you because we played this game co-op together. Gears 5, which now I kind of
you put that at number 6.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's higher for you.
It's way higher.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So Gears of War 5. We'll talk about it now, but actually just titled Gears 5. Obviously the Gears of War franchise has been around since mid 2000s, but it's the broy shooter. But now they've really incorporated, I think, a lot more story into it. And it's just so fun to play. It controls great.
Yeah.
The addition of the skiff and like flying that skiff around maps and kind of
the
open world
openness,
segments. Yeah. And of course playing co-op with like your friend is like 2 characters that we kind of both got attached to.
Exactly. Because we struggled through 4 because it was so shit
Yeah, it wasn't
that
good.
we
It was
had
fun
to play
but
5. Yeah, it was fun to play, but like
story
the
is
story
horrible.
was so bad. And you go to 5, and 5 is like Gears 2 from the original series. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Which is why I have it way higher up, but we can talk about it now.
Both games end
Uh,
like shit though. Like
yeah.
the ending of Gears 5 is bad.
The thing is, the how I felt about it is they both don't end. Like it's just
Yeah,
like,
it's
okay,
obviously-
you gotta wait for the next story. Like and that's
Yeah.
I don't like the original Gears kind of didn't do that. Like
No.
Gears 1 ended, and then Gears 2. I guess
Okay.
Gears 2 didn't really, but Gears
Yeah,
1
it
ended.
Yeah.
So it was just like interesting how they do these little cliffhangery type endings, which I
Mhm.
guess if that's like the end all be all for a game, then so be it. But I felt like throughout the whole game, things were done really well.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much anything new, but because it's basically like the same thing as Gears 4.
Right,
But
but
the story was amazing, and the open worldness and
Which is
yeah,
new.
the skip. Yeah,
yeah. And I
There-
think
yeah,
like, the story of it obviously like isn't great, but I love the addition of like having these new younger characters along with like the old grubs from the old games.
yeah,
I think it's really fun. I think we're gonna see that with Halo Infinite. To be honest, I think we're gonna get.
yeah. My man Coltrane, like
Yeah,
he's
Coltrane
put in the
comes
work,
back.
and Bart. Yeah, it's just really lovable characters coming in, and then you have some not so lovable, but really interesting stories.
He's dead now. Don't worry.
And there's some.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
how they deal with that. So I put it up way higher, but we could talk about it.
we'll get to. I think when we get
Yeah.
to it, we should go why you put it higher. But yeah, for
Yeah,
me, like it was
exactly.
really good. It was a good game, but it didn't. I think the last 5 on my list, they more like they resonated a little bit more for me, like story wise, and like where I'm going to think back on these like a lot. Where like Gears 5 was, Gears 5 was really fun, but it's not like a game I'm going to be like, oh, this changed everything. It was just like a fun game, you know.
Yeah,
for me.
I guess it didn't change everything, but
Yeah, and so like for me, like I think the last 5 kind of gave me something newer a little bit, and Gears 5 just did something better.
yeah.
That makes sense. But it's always fun to play co-op. I mean, and I know you and I will play Gears 6 together or whatever they call it. So,
Mhm.
All right, what's your number 6?
So my number 6. So I'm guessing yours is gonna be higher because I know we both played it, but it's The Outer Worlds for me. Unless you didn't even put it on your top 10.
The Outer Worlds is not on my list.
Wow, you have a really tough list.
Yep.
See, I
Okay.
thought that. Yeah, that game, Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds again. They can't save you. Really,
Yeah.
really tongue twister. But really, it's Obsidian's attempt at it's not attempt. It's their Fallout basically,
Mhm.
and it handled the story really well. Great story. However, the world is repetitive and the units and everything is the same. But as a looter, someone who likes to like loot and go through the story, it's fun. I like
Yeah.
looting everything. But it was just you get to the town and then that's it. There's like it's very empty. I played through Fallout 4 like every little nook and cranny, every single DLC. I went through it all, and it had way more world, even though it felt empty at parts.
The Outer Worlds.
Way
have
more-
world.
No, Fallout 4.
Oh, okay.
And that's what Outer Worlds is missing. Is that it's just too much openness, and even though you get to travel around,
Mhm.
and the story was okay, actually the ending was pretty good. But there's a point where you just like F all this. It's like it's not even worth. I just want to like beat the game. That's what ended up happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just ran through it. But put it at 6. Thought I deserved it because I thought it was a great look at being like, hey, we can hang, like we can make comparable.
Yes.
If they had like some, you can't use everything that Fallout's using. I'm guessing there's some stuff that's like stuck behind.
Yeah, for
Like,
for
some
me, the reason that it's not on my list is I think it is everything you said is very accurate.
Mhm.
The characters are really well done. It's very well acted.
Yeah.
It's pretty humorous. I would say that the trailers for the for the Outer Worlds, we won't ever have to screw this up again. It's gonna be great. The trailer for the Outer Worlds was like super zany and like corporate's taking over space and what you gonna do?
Yeah, it actually that never translated to anything.
No, it's like I
Yeah.
expected the game like very much to be like this is going to be Fallout, but like zany,
Yep.
and it was like this is Fallout, but in
Exactly.
space.
And then you had like guns that were like pointless because you would just
Yeah.
find like a better gun. It was very weird.
Yeah.
Whereas in Fallout, you could find your gun in like the first 20 minutes and use it for the whole entire game.
Mhm.
Like
And
I was like,
and
that
think
was your gun.
the game kind of got. It got to a point where it was like I'm not enjoying this, like because I feel like I've done this before, like a lot. Like this is
That's
just
hard when you're trying to compete though with something that's
Yeah.
established.
Exactly.
It's gonna be hard.
and I liked the smaller scale of it. Like it wasn't Fallout 4 openness, right? Like it is a smaller scale. But then like there's what 7, 8 planets in the game.
Yeah.
And
There's planets, but then there's like little things you can do on each one.
They
like, there's,
all
like,
looked the
multiple
same.
stuff. Yeah, they're the unit
Like, in my
way,
opinion.
the way the units worked and everything. It was kind of the same.
Yeah, I was like,
And
you're
then,
fighting more bandits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing is, it played well.
Yes,
I
it
don't
did.
think it crashed a single time. And
No.
Fallout,
controlled
it's a
well,
buggy mess.
Yeah.
So they
it
have
was-
a good engine, but again, you have a lot of repetitive units and they all behave
Yeah,
like
and,
crap.
and I think too, like the interesting thing that the Outer Worlds does that Fallout doesn't do all the time, like you can kill people in Fallout and like civilians, but like you can't kill quest givers, right? Like there are certain quest givers
Yeah,
you can't kill.
you can
'cause
kill
they're
everyone.
In this game, you can kill everyone and like you'll skip
you-
quests or miss stuff, and I think that's really fun. We're like
That's awesome.
in the first town that you go into in the Outer Worlds, you have to like basically mediate between like these village people and like this corporate man, right?
Yep.
And at the end, it's like, you got to remove the corporate man to like kind of settle stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll remove him. And I talked to him. He's like, I'm not going to leave. And he's like, what are you going to do? Kill me? And I just like, I remember I looked over at my like little fake companion that's not a real person. And I like kind of was like, I got to do this. And I just like turned to like shot him. And the woman's like, why'd you kill him? And I was like, we have to do this. Like,
Yeah.
and then we like, nobody knew because we like kind of, nobody talked about it. And like, that's just how it was. Like, so that is a fun.
Yeah, the way you
to
could
play it out.
interact with the quests.
Yeah.
Granted, yeah, you can kill everyone, which is great. And how it doesn't break the game is also amazing.
Yes.
But again, it just like prevents you from doing certain quests. Like it'd be like, oh, this quest failed or something. But
yeah. But I think that's a cool way to go about stuff.
that stuff's fun. But again, yeah, I felt other than that is very empty.
Yeah, it felt a little hollow for me, and that's why I just out of the games that I have on my list, it didn't do anything better than those.
Gotcha.
Do you have anything else to say on the Outer Worlds?
Nope, that was basically.
My number 5 is Disco Elysium.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
is
That's
Disco
definitely
Elysium
on my list.
It's
on
on
my
your
list. It's 4 for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's a little lower for me than I expected it to be. But Disco Elysium, we talked. Obviously, there's a review. I think it's episode 2 or 3 that we kind of broke into it, but I had only played about half of it. I think Disco Elysium, the reason it's not higher for me is, and we've talked about this offline, but it's a great RPG that has a very weak middle.
Mhm.
And it does the very disappointing thing for me in like a mystery, where like the mystery is really enticing and the answer is not that satisfying.
Exactly.
Um,
I'm with you there 100%.
Yeah, like the answer is like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's nothing like how they painted it to be, which is sad.
No, which is sad. And then that is unfortunate. That being said, it is so unique. It is so stylized up the bunghole. It's great. Like, it is just
Well written.
Well written.
Such a well written.
I laughed out loud many times at the things that you could say, that you could do. The fact that like your cop has no memory of who he is, and that's really never
I love it.
explained. Like it's
Yeah.
never explained why, but like it's happened before, which is really funny. Like this just every so often happens to him. But like he'll just say things. You're like, you'll bust into a room, and he's like, you can be like, I'm a cop, or you could be like, I'm a cop that doesn't play by the rules. And you're like,
Yeah. Or
there
you'd be
are
like,
no rules.
F the police.
Yeah,
Like,
or you'd
it's
be
like really great.
I hate cops, and it's like it's just like it's so ridiculous and fun, and like you have that little partner who like is just like so just annoyed by you, and like or you can
Yeah.
garner his respect throughout the game.
Kisaragi.
Kisaragi is a great character. The characters are great. They're memorable. You know, I remember the woman in the bookstore a lot who like thought there was a ghost, you know, haunting her little.
Oh
complex.
yeah.
And like for some reason that just like stood out for me because that was such.
And it's just a little weight room.
Yeah, and like what's in there is like there's a woman that makes dice and she hears her like working on these dice upstairs and like that stuff I think is really fun. What do you think about Disco Elysium?
Yeah, so I put it at number 4, just one above my 5, but I felt the exact same way. The ending was really kind of this guy did it, or you know, like
this is
I don't know, it's like that he just did this, and then he's like, there's no feeling to him, like there's no like intent. It was just like, I didn't like the way they looked, like I didn't like them doing it in my sight, like it was just, and then but when they painted it like it, I was just like, oh, she did this thing, she did some espionage, like it was like, oh shit, like they're coming to hunt her, like they actually they found her, they're gonna take her out because she did all this stuff, and it's like, nope, that's not what it was. And then it kind of just ends weirdly.
It peters out. It does end a little weirdly.
It ends weirdly, and it's just kind of I wasn't too much into it to agree with it, but the one thing aspect about this game that was amazing is the asides, like kind of like your self assessment with thinking of the situation, like your mind, like your conscience, or
however you put your points in, you have different thought bubbles at top.
If this was like made into a book, it would be probably like a bestseller in no time. It is incredible, like the way it's kind of Poe-esque. Is that the word I'd say? Like written like sardonically. You know, A Telltale Heart, that poem.
Oh yeah.
Like where he's like talking about like killing the guy and how he's gonna do it. Like it has like that kind of
right,
like writing where it's like, oh, you need to go smoke this cigarette, or you need to do this drugs. Like it's like, damn, okay, I guess I gotta do this.
I do like when like people talk about drugs and like your brain in Disco Elysium will start talking. Like, you want to do that drug? And
exactly. It's like,
and then you can talk back to him and be like, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Like, yes, you do.
Yeah. So
did you ever do drugs on the job in Disco Elysium?
I did some of them like at the start.
Oh yeah, I didn't do
like
any.
Some of them where it's like smoke that cigarette or like get a cigarette, you know, like at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like give me that.
Well, like at one point you pick up a bottle of booze and you'll just have a quest in your quest log the entire game that says like drink the wine or whatever, and it's like that's a quest. It's like your alcoholism has given you a quest. So it's a very unique game. I'm very excited to see what they do next if they do a similar...
this studio deserved all the awards they wanted and it was really great that they did win those awards.
Yeah, 4 of them.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised. So what's your number 4 then?
Well, what's your number 5?
Oh, sorry, whatever 5. Yeah, Apex Legends. We talked about it.
Oh, okay, cool. Apex.
Yeah.
All right.
I put it up there. It was really, really fun. You know, just a good BR.
It is. It's great. So number 4 for me is a game that I know you said you didn't play much of it, and we've actually done a review already a little bit on it. Resident Evil 2 Remake.
If I did play it, it'd probably be around there.
It is.
I did play a little bit.
That game is so good. That game is so spooky. I've played one full with Leon, and I've started the Claire one, and Mr. X showed up, and I'm like, can't handle the stress because he's already here, and I got no weapons, and I'm just
you can do mods in that game and like change his appearance.
Yeah.
So I see people make it like a little bit like friendlier, so it's not too scary.
It's fine.
Or scarier.
It's just like it's just haunting. But I think the atmosphere of Resident Evil 2, the remake, I've never played the original, but is just like it's very like dire and spooky, but it's also really like creative and puzzle solving. While like it's not like scary, gross. It's just intense and suspenseful, and what's around this corner. And I never felt like, well, I had a moment where I was like, I can't play this because Mr. X is real spooky, and I put the controller down, and I was like, no, I can do this.
Fought through it. And I'm not going to do it with Claire because it is really spooky with Claire because I got no guns, and he's already here. But I think the really creative thing that this game does is you have 2 playable characters, Leon and Claire, and I played the first playthrough with Leon, who is the rookie cop coming to a new city, and he bumps into Claire in the beginning of the game, and they get separated. And later on, they meet in like kind of the middle of Leon's story, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go look over here to try to get you in." And she finds a way into the police station. And if you start the second run, like once you beat Leon's story as Claire, it starts in the moment where she meets up with Leon in the middle, and she's like, "I'm gonna go get you in," and she goes in. And she finds a way into the police station. So you're doing stuff while Leon, who you already played as, is doing stuff. So like that's why Mr. X shows up right away. Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Is that's probably why he's
because he shows up like right when you get back to the police station as Leon. So it's like, oh, he's been there already hunting Claire, and then Leon just accidentally walks into this. So it's really creative, and I like. Part of me really wants to I really want to see where her story plays out, but like is real scary, and I get really anxious, so it's not fun to be really scared all the time.
You're not a fan of. I like scary. Like, if we do this in the future, I want to do more scary games.
Yes,
so I can like talk about. I do like scary games,
and we have Resident Evil 3 to look forward to. I mean, the remake of that, and that Resident Evil engine, the RE engine that they made for this game, Capcom, is stunning and awesome. Plays very well. The controls great. I know we talk about a lot about remasters and remakes, but this game is an entirely new game based on the old Resident Evil. So really enjoy it. Gotcha. Number 4.
Oh, my number 4 was Disco Elysium.
Disco Elysium. All right, number 3.
Number 3, Gears 5. So I guess
We're just checking these off.
Yeah, so I guess like it's like boom, 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 boom. We're climbing up pretty fast too.
Why is Gears 5 that high for you?
I think us. I mean, I don't know if it would have been different if I played it solo, but us. I think having the shared co-op experience from 4 into 5 and the way that story transition really strengthened 5, because at first 4 was awful. Yeah, to be honest. 5 has a really good story building elements to it with like how they're interact. Yeah, with Kat, especially with Kat, with her and her mom and
Kate. Is it Kate or Kat?
Kate.
It's Kate.
K-A-I-T. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Kate.
name.
With Kate. Yeah, with Kate. We know.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And how you're kind of like tackling this new old threat that's come back, and now it's like now you're fighting some of the old enemies in 5, whereas 4 you were kind of just like, oh, we hate you, Cog. We're gonna fight all these robots that are like a pain in the ass to deal with, which are so awful to fight. And now you're fighting some real locusts that like can do some damage, and Locust Boss, and some really good like fights. Story. Right. It was way better in the snow, like the elements to it, like you know, the atmosphere. Beautiful game.
The snow and the desert, I think, were highlights for me. I mean, and I think the open world portions were awesome. Ran
amazingly too. Like way better than 4. We would crash constantly for it. Like it was like a total dog.
And it's stunning.
Yeah,
it is a beautiful game.
At 3, I feel like it's safe to be up there, even though it doesn't compete with a lot of these other games. But I think it's safe to put at 3.
So you know what's really cool about this? I know, because I know you. I know you and I have the exact same games that are number 1 and number 2. That being said, I don't know which order they're in. That's really cool. So number 3 is a game that you haven't played because you don't own a Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
And for a while, this game was my game of the year. Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I love Fire Emblem. It is like one of the only
describe it to me.
I'll paint you a word picture like you ain't gonna believe. Hi.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Fire Emblem is much like Wargroove. It is a strategy tactic game, like a chessboard, where you get your pieces that are soldiers and you move them along and you fight bosses. The cool thing with Fire Emblem is, in my opinion, it's permadeath. So instead of like random soldiers like in Wargroove, you get heroes. So, you know, you get your axeman whose name is like, I don't remember the names, which is really sad. I wish I did. Oh, there's a guy named like Zane, and he's like this like ladies man, and he's got an axe, and it's like, okay, and he's like, but if he dies in battle, he is gone from the rest of the game. Ooh, so you have your missions where you go out and fight, but you also have in this game like major RPG elements. And usually you'd, in the old Fire Emblems, you'd go back to like a base camp and you'd like click on the barracks, and like people would be talking to the barracks and they'd form a romance, and you kind of like would get romance bonuses.
Like,
so like
JRPG elements?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it'd be like you're kind of building relationships within your squad. And so like if you're, you know, a cleric and your warrior started liking each other, they could eventually like become romantic and get like an S ranking, which is always like the best Japanese ranking, right? And then, like, in battle, if they're next to each other, they get bonuses. So, what's really cool about Fire Emblem 3 Houses that's kind of different is it takes kind of like a Harry Potter-esque turn on it, where your character, and it's also very weird, is the professor. And, like, you're like a younger professor. Just go with me. And your students, which are all relatively your age, are, because this is important, are your squad. And so for the first half of the game, and there's going to be slight spoilers, but it was kind of spoiled by Nintendo with the trailer, so it doesn't really matter. Your squad is like your class, and you get to pick like, and you can be in charge of like the red lions, the blue eagles, and like the yellow deers or whatever, right? And I was
very
the blue
Harry
eagles.
Potter-esque.
Oh, totally. And you like train them in battle and like teach them classes and like how to like up their stats, and you're all about like working. Well, what's really cool is there is a point in this game, kind of 3/4 of the way through, where there's like a time jump, where like things go wrong, and there is a time jump. And the thing with these 3 houses is they're all in charge of like different sectors of like this world, this map. And there's a time jump, and they all go to war with each other. And in this 5-year period, you're like missing in action, and these like factions are at war. And you come back after 5 years, and like all your students are grown up a little bit, because now you can start to date your students. This is very important. we have to age them up so we can date them. Okay, you understand? You
Nice.
gotta bear with me.
Nice.
Okay. So yes, I did date Dorothy or Dorothea, and we got married. But so then like your students are older and they're they change a little bit and everything, and that's like kind of your like kind of the end game is like fighting like in this war with your students, but you're also able to recruit students in the beginning of the game. So like if the guy you like is on the yellow team, you can recruit him to come join your team.
Mm-hmm.
But then when the 5-year jump happens, you're fighting the other students in actual war and killing them. It's like if you didn't get the wizard that you like, you gotta kill him eventually. And so stuff like that is really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's a really in-depth game. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of like Harry Potter open world running around this castle and talking to people and doing activities while you also fight. And so for me, it was just a very interesting game that had a lot for it.
You just got me excited for the like potential Harry Potter RPG that's in the works.
That we know WSB's making, but
Yeah, you really got me excited for that.
Oh my god. We're going to talk a lot about 2020 in the next 2 episodes, and I got a lot of predictions about WB.
Yep.
So you're on number 3, right?
No. My theory was Gears. We're on number 2 and 1. We're both on
Okay.
that was your number 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your number 2 game, James?
Should we say it at the same time?
Yeah. Control.
3, 2. It's Control.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It is Control.
So we don't even have to deliberate on our game of the year, which is really exciting.
Okay, yeah. So I guess we have the same.
But let's talk about Control first, because I think that's
So, Control just recently played.
You're welcome.
Quite the interesting start because you're kind of just thrown into it, which I think is okay. Like, you don't need a
give
full.
like a brief overview.
Okay, so you're basically at the Bureau of Control,
Mhm.
Federal Bureau of Control.
Yep.
Doesn't exist though, but
Yeah,
I
you don't know.
liked the kind of attempts that I know, but I like the attempts that are like painting it like a federal type building, which is kind of interesting. Like some
Yeah.
elements were pretty good, and you're kind of like looking for your brother who was taken by the Bureau
Yeah.
because of
They control like
An event.
supernatural events.
yeah, basically there was like a supernatural item called the
Mm-hmm.
projector that was found in your town called Ordinary in the Waste, I guess.
Yeah.
And so you were like opening portals, and then like I guess like this is all like told to you. You didn't see it, but
Yeah.
she's like telling you this is what happened, but I guess like monsters came through, and then someone helped you out, which is Polaris. That's
Mhm.
the person that helped you out, or being that helped you out, and she's like in you, I guess, or a part of you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then so she's helping you. She guided you to the Bureau
Yeah.
of Control, and basically they didn't take her, but they took her brother,
Mhm.
and then they took him, and then they trained him. He's called P6 in the Bureau, and they like training him to be the new director of the Bureau of Control, which is kind of interesting.
But something
But I
happens
guess-
really early on in the game
Yeah,
where you
Or-
become the new director.
you
And you-
immediately you
What's her
immediately become the
name?
new director.
You remember her name?
I remember Polaris. Oh, the director.
What's her name?
Why can't I remember? Like it makes sense for me to know, but
Yeah. I was like, shit, I don't remember her name. Okay, we'll keep talking about it because I'm gonna look it up.
okay, good, yeah.
'Cause that's something
But
we should know.
anyways, the former director like shoots himself.
Yeah.
You go back and like talk about like look at it like what happened, but you basically become the new director immediately, and like everyone like accepts it right away. It's like, oh, it's the new
Jesse.
director.
Jesse.
Jesse, yeah, director Jesse, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse Faden.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it's a third-person action game that's
yeah.
in this
And-
like, building, the old house.
Yeah. Graphics beautiful. World building absolutely amazing.
But-
absolutely, yeah.
And the thing that I think is really cool with Control is it's a third-person shooter. You have this gun that changes into different variants of weapons, but you also get these powers. So you get
Yeah.
telekinesis to throw objects. And then eventually you get the ability to basically fly.
You fly, yeah. You can
Like,
fly.
you
You
can
can fly. You can dash.
Yep.
Uh,
Pull up a rock shield.
yeah. You have abilities that basically like combine a lot of other games have done it,
Yes.
but this one does it so fluidly without issue, like not a single issue.
Mhm.
Like just the ability to just like go around, like pick up a rock, throw it, dash over here, shoot someone. Like it like flows so well.
The gameplay is incredible.
Yeah, you are going by like 20 miles per hour, like going boom, 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 like killing all these enemies in creative ways without like being stopped. It is
Yeah.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
Control has freaking style.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen a game look like it. It's got a lot of like stark reds, and just creepy ambient surroundings and floating people like suspended in the air.
Yes.
And then the coolest part of the game is the text. When you enter a new
the text,
room,
yes. We talked about this.
yeah, when you enter a new area, text like smacks the screen,
like, boom,
and it's like bright white bold lettering, and it'll be like the library, or like it's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, it just stays there, and you're walking around like the text is still on your screen. You're just walking around. It's
on
just
top of you as you walk around for like a good 20 seconds or whatever. It's awesome. And I think with what is really cool about Control is they don't give you like too many powers to use. You get like 5, and you get
just
really
upgrade.
good at using them. But you get really good at like using them. Like
you get some that and you just love it. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I was telling
what did you? I
crazy.
used Pierce and then the regular. I got the other weapons, but I just didn't like him as much as Pierce. Pierce was fun for me.
That
like
the sniper?
Snipe people. Yeah, it's like you snipe people with it. So that was I like snipers.
Yeah, I was a big proponent of like the normal handgun and like the big revolver thing.
The doctor. Let's talk about the doctor.
Okay, yeah. So fuck, what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Something Darling. Casper Darling.
It is Darling. It's Darling.
So I think really Control, like we were saying, just has style. The way the text hits the screen, but the best character in Control is this doctor named Casper Darling that has this mustache. Honestly, I should just put in a picture of him here because he's so great. But it's a real world video footage of this guy, and his entire thing is he just gives exposition on things, but in real world, where like he is doing an exposition documentary for like the Department of Control. It's like he's explaining like what these mysterious objects are, and he'd be like, I'm Casper Darling, and he's very charming in like how he gives these spiels of exposition, but they're always like real
a true
world.
doctor. He kind of reminded me of like the Half-Life doctor that Freeman always talks to, the one who's like, oh well, we're talking like this, like he reminded me like that, but like someone who's like so into what they're doing, like their research. Like I know those people, but like just really into like this object of power. Like talking, or he describes like all of it. It's just like, oh wow, this is interesting, and it's like a real video. Like it has real production value to it. Like you would think it was real,
right?
Which is
totally.
You're immersed. It
is,
and the way you like investigate him and the offices, and then what they did, and the puzzles. Mm-hmm. Puzzles are good.
Puzzles are great. I think
not too hard.
The only one downside of Control is I think the ending's a little weak.
Ending's weak, but again, that's why I had Gear so high. I think endings being weak should not define the whole game.
No, totally.
But endings being good is great.
It is great, and I think we'll talk about the next one because, but I think Control 2 does the cardinal video game sin for me, which I think a lot of shooters do, is like every villain you face before, like enemy, we're just gonna throw them at you, and that's the final thing.
You get waves. It's waves. It's a wave
of enemies,
but it's fine.
Yeah, no. But I
There's
think
no
Control's
super
great.
big boss.
No, which was kind of
they could have done something a little bit there.
Well, and they have.
All right, your big boss is your brother, I guess, but
yeah, that's
actually no. It's not even really your brother because it's just the waves that throw you.
Yeah, it's kind of a boring fight. No, you're good. Though I think the acting in Control is great. It's by Remedy, who's a great studio that did Alan Wake and Quantum.
Oh yeah,
Quantum Break. Quantum Break? Nope, that's a movie. No, Quantum Break.
I know what you're talking about.
Quantum Break.
I know it has the
like TV video game thing, which was weird. Did you get the reference though? Have you ever played Alan Wake?
I didn't play Alan Wake, so
okay. But Control is a sequel to Alan Wake, right?
Really? I didn't know that. I haven't played Alan.
You can find a document in Control, like because there's documents you can pick up around, for world building, right? Yeah. And you read a document about an object of power that happened a long time ago, and the guy affected by it was this man named Alan Wake. And like that he like has been brought in and like questioned.
That's cool. That's cool world building stuff.
Yeah. So there's a DLC that's going to come out for it that will be in relation to Alan Wake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's some great stuff at the end though. I think we've talked about. There are some really fun twists at the end of Control.
Yeah, there's like a fake ending that was at first when it happened I was like, this is the worst ending ever. This game sucks. And then
slight spoilers I guess for Control.
Baited
there's a fake
and then
ending.
I was like,
good job, James.
Fake ending, by the way.
There's also the coolest thing in I think all of gaming this year is the Ashtray Maze, and I don't want to say anything more.
That was amazing. But it's that whole sequence is beautiful.
Yep. And I don't want to. I think that's kind of all you can say about it. But it's
exactly. You just have to play it.
Yeah,
because of course, you playing it, it's like, oh, they knew what they had here.
Yep,
like with this type of.
And I kind of wish that was somewhat of the end of the game, but it's okay that it wasn't.
Yeah, actually, I wish that was.
The janitor.
Janitor's great.
Is a great character.
Yes.
There's some great characters in Control.
The minor characters are the better characters, I feel.
I agree.
Like some of the people who are in higher power is like, okay, you want me to do this? Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
Lady.
Oh, God, the boring lady that sits at the table the entire game.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but
enough
else
about that. Let's talk about Game of the Year, because it's the same game, I'm sure it is. Unless you throw me for a loop.
That'd be really funny, though.
What is it, James?
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, and honestly, you're not going to see it on anyone else's list because it's like, oh, it didn't make it to the actual, which is bullshit because it actually should have. And it sucks because it's actually going to probably going to get no recognition this year because this year is so strong. This game is going to fall by the wayside. Yeah. So I wish they made an exception for this.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. But anyways, it's on our Game of the Year because it came out of nowhere and it delivered.
Right. So it's Respawn Entertainment,
mm-hmm.
which also developed Apex Legends. It's a third-person action-adventure game similar to an Uncharted game with Dark Souls-y elements in it.
Yeah,
where you are
very strong Dark Souls elements.
You're a Jedi after the Empire comes out and starts killing all the Jedi. And it's fantastic. I mean, okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
I'm a giant, disgusting Star Wars fan that is stupidly Star Warsy.
And I'm not, and I'm saying it's amazing. So
yeah. And I think that's cool. It's hard to kind of, I don't know if you felt this way, but like give Game of the Year to a licensed game. Like that's weird. Did you feel that is weird?
Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't have done it to a Star Wars game in a long time because they've all recently been awful.
Yeah.
But this one had what I think a lot of Star Wars games needs, which is stories that don't focus on the main
characters.
Characters. Yeah, exactly. On different stories, different elements, different things happening, which is why The Mandalorian's pretty good. It's because things that are going on in the Star Wars universe, but aren't really directly like the main focus of like what's affecting the outcomes and all that. Right. You have side stuff that of like, okay, this event happened. These are the people that are being affected by it. Like these are people being persecuted or like trying to fight. It's beautiful. It's like the way you're going through and you're like the ancient race. Okay, I guess I should start talking about story, but
that's fine. I think that's a pretty known thing. I mean, did you see the new trailer for it? It shows the end of the game.
What?
Yeah, the ending shot is Vader.
Oh my god! It actually shows Vader. That's a huge spoiler because like that was well kept. That was well kept. I had no idea we were going to do this.
In my chair when I was like,
when I was playing it, I was like, "What?" Like you're playing this, and he's OP. Like he's just like
it's my favorite. It's my favorite Vader moment in all of Star Wars. Is
paints Vader how it
It's so cool.
You can't even fight it yet.
Well, I think so. You play as Cal Kestis, who's a Jedi Padawan when the rise of the Empire and the fall of the Jedi happened, and you go into
Order
hiding.
Went through.
Yeah, Order 66. Yep. And you go into hiding and kind of get brought out of hiding because you have to use your Force. And this Jedi who gave up her Force powers because she went to the dark side a little bit, and this kind of slimy scoundrel named Grease, who's great. Pick you up and kind of you go on this adventure to find the MacGuffin, right?
Because you're being hunted by the Empire, basically.
Yeah, you're being hunted by the Empire.
Yeah.
And the story is surprisingly great. The gameplay of how, fighting with your lightsaber and it's action heavy, and then using your Force powers, it all flows really well. And then it is a Metroidvania where it is explore the map and find the secrets and find the chests, and within the Star Wars universe is great. And then you build out your lightsaber, and as they
get more powers,
you get a double lightsaber. And but what I think Jedi Fallen Order does best, and it can only for me be done in a video game, is it made me love something about Star Wars that I didn't really care about. Not like Cal or whatever, but I'm not. I didn't care about Cal before the game. Yeah. No, I mean, I was talking with my girlfriend Madeline about the MCU, and the reason I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so great is it took something that I already loved, which was Marvel Comics, and made me love something that I didn't know I liked, which was Captain America. When I was a kid and read Marvel, I didn't like Captain America because he was boring. Mm-hmm. In the movies, I'm like, Cap's my favorite character.
Yeah,
he's interesting. And they make the Jedi traditions in Fallen Order interesting.
Gotcha. Yep.
And there is a moment in this game, I wish I could just talk to you about it, but it's such a spoiler I don't even want to say it. You have to go and do something that the Jedi would do.
Yes.
And
I know that.
You do this, and you're you put something together and it's great and it's magical, and I'm like, this is touching.
Mm-hmm.
And the part of the game of like you're customizing your lightsaber and throughout the whole game. And you get to a moment of this game and you're like, I'm never going to change this lightsaber again. Like, this is what it is for me, at least. Like, this is my lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really fascinating. Like, they managed to get me at a point of like, oh, this is what it means to be a Jedi in regard. Like, that's really special. And I think with a video game, you can do that because you're playing it and you are Cal. Where I think in a movie, you just watch it, like, yeah, all right, whatever. I've seen the episode of the Clone Wars. But like, this was something really special. I can't wait to see what Respawn does next with Star Wars.
Yeah, this has a full. It can go far.
Yes.
They laid on the line with this one. I hope that it's not the last one. It better not be.
No, I don't.
Because I feel like this could be extended, and the story was amazing. And I love what you're talking about. Like, I loved the exploring the old Jedi traditions, and then before that, when you're looking at the ancient race that used the Force.
Mm-hmm.
You have like a Jedi scholar who's like really fascinated, like he's like, look at all this, look at the amazing, look what they did. It is just like, hey, yeah, this is really cool. Like the old structures and like that this was all built, and you're at the same time, like, you're going around exploring all these, unlocking, and you're trying to find the one goal. Right. I don't want to spoil what that goal is.
No, I think it's cool if it's not.
But it's you explore the maps, you're seeing the history,
right.
And the story is really connecting, and the acting's amazing, and the flow, the engine is amazing. Like, you had a lot of problems. I know you had a lot of problems with it. I didn't have that many problems. The only problem I had was the double
PlayStation
jump. Double jump fucked up.
Yeah, I had a few crashes, but I think it was on PlayStation. And
but yeah,
whatever.
I thoroughly enjoyed the game. Yeah,
I think it's a standout of the year. For me, it is game of the year.
It's game of the year. It's game of the year. Yeah. Because honestly, when it was like the trailers coming up, you're like, oh, here we go, another EA
Star Wars game. Yeah,
and it's like, oh, single player, okay, maybe something. And then it was like comes out, it's like, oh, they got something here.
And I just, God, there's so many great points. Like when you get the Force pull power.
Oh, I love it.
And
the way that
you look at a vine, and you're like, oh my God, I can just Force pull this vine to me, and like that's so cool. And then it's got the coolest Star Warsy kill thing when you pull a stormtrooper forward and stab him as you're pulling him forward. It's like, this is so cool.
The fight flows, the way you can interact with the soldiers and enemies. Also, one thing I want to add is I liked the way you can go to a world, not be able to fully explore it because you don't have the abilities unlocked, and then go back with the abilities unlocked, and it's like a whole new world. That's great layering and world building and level design. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It is a fantastic.
You look at the level and it's like, oh, this is simple. Oh, it's just as much as like, no, there's a lot of intricacies in here, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's from people that I think that really love Star Wars. I think there's only one, in my opinion, bad area of the game, and I think Dathomir is not great.
No, I agree. It was, you spend too much time there, I think.
Yeah,
that's what.
And it's a lot of coming back and going forward and closed spaces where the game feels like you should be fighting in these open environments, and you're forced to fight in these hallways, and it just doesn't work, I think, well with the engine. But
if the game gets bigger, or like if they make another game and it gets bigger, that's gonna really lend itself to the story, I feel.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where they go with it, because I think they have a wide variety from story reasons of like what they can do.
They could do something totally different, which I'd be so happy if they did that too.
Me too.
Or maybe eventually merge them. Like,
well, I think we're definitely getting Star Wars Jedi something, because that's the title, Star Wars Jedi: Fallen Order.
Yeah.
So we're getting more Star Wars Jedi games, which is really exciting. Yeah, and I mean, the trailer already showed you Vader's in the game, but that moment, like, it's like Rogue One, where like they made Vader scary again. This makes Vader scary.
Yeah, Rogue One makes him scary. This one like makes him like he's like a demon. Like he
makes him fucking terrifying.
Totally can destroy you no matter what. Once over and over, like he has Force control that is just
awesome,
overpowering, and you like have to do cheap tricks to get out.
It's really cool.
Really fun.
And the characters, I think, too, are fantastic. I forget the woman's name that is like the old Jedi that left the Force behind.
And she has like a really powerful story.
She has a great arc, and I think Greasy Money, who's like the Slimo pilot guy, is just awesome. And obviously we got BD-1, the droid.
Yeah, that droid is instrumental to your
standout
development. Yeah.
For me,
as for all Jedi.
I'm really glad that like Control wasn't first or something, and be like, oh shit, now we got to really argue this out. Like, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Side Escapes, first game of the year, 2019. Whew. get ready for 2020 because it's going to be much heated discussion, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's gonna be so many games that
Yeah.
are gonna vie for this, and
Yeah.
we'll see. That's gonna be fun though.
No, it's going to be good. Well, I'm very glad that
I feel like this will be better.
we came on to one game, and I think both of our lists covered a wide variety of games, a lot of similar ones as well. But
they covered everything. The only thing is, I do want to talk about is games that weren't on your list.
yeah,
That probably aren't all the time. It's like Sekiro. You did play a little bit of it.
yeah. So I think that's
You
a good
wanna
thing to talk about. Like two or three of the games I think that'll be big game of the year candidates that aren't on the lists. For me, Sekiro, we've talked about this. It's not our type of game.
Yeah.
I think you can look at From Software and they're great games. Obviously, I have it. I've played like 3 hours and I'm really bad at it, and it's not fun to play a game for me that you just get your teeth kicked in over and over again. So I respect it. It's a great game. I probably won't put any more hours into it. There was another game I thought that we should talk about that wasn't going to be on our lists, but maybe not.
That was on like a lot of top tens.
I don't
trying to
remember.
think of the list. A lot of it was covered.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot
Sekiro
of it.
1, Resident Evil 2 was there, Death Stranding was there,
Yep.
Control was there, Disco Elysium was there.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was not, but that is
Not
our game
there.
of the year. And as we know,
Yeah.
our game of the year is very important to the gaming world. So they're really going to take this one to note. And
this is what people, which I feel like if people did their own, which I saw people's lists and they didn't include this on there, which I felt
really,
was
I saw a lot of people that
quite
had it
straight.
on there, which I think is good.
Some like kept it true to what was like available from the Game Awards,
Yeah.
and they put Control as number 1, which I think is fair. That could be-
IGN gave Control game of the year. Yeah.
So I can see Control being up there as well because
I think Control, Outer Wilds,
beautiful.
I think are kind of two of the most popular game of the years. So, well, I think we did it. We successfully navigated Game of the Year 2019. I think it was a slightly longer podcast than normal, but I think it was pretty good. So
Yes.
I want to thank everybody for tuning into our 6 episodes. There will be a 7th episode next week where we will talk about 2020 preview and kind of what we think about it. James, any final thoughts on 2019?
No, just interesting year, but I'm glad that some games came out in the end that even though I wasn't excited for, they really delivered.
Yep. And I'm really glad you played Control in the final week. I think that was...
Yeah, I had to get that through because
I felt that way with Death Stranding as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I played $30.
I know. It's a great
It's a
deal.
pretty good deal.
It's a really good deal. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Remember, please subscribe if you have not subscribed to YouTube because that would be cool. And we'll be back every Monday. So thank you for tuning in.